Happy birthday, man, from the island boys, the Miami boy living in California, the Cuban boy with his Korean girl, the sports talk boy talking the soccer talk. Happy 50th from your boy Juan Carlos. Peace and love from the island boy.
I had a birthday, a big one. And my friend Juan Carlos, one of my best friends, I guess got this cameo, whatever, it's not cameo, but he got the Island Boys to sing that song for my birthday, and I was very touched by it. And I think I've become an Island Boys fan because of it. I feel like we're boys now, me and the Island Boys, after that video. I feel like we know each other. But yeah, I turned 50. When I was your age, when I was like 23, 24, I thought 50 looked like Wilford Brimley. I thought that's what 50 looked like. Now that I'm here, I feel like got a lot more to give. It's the new 40s. 40s are the new 30s. So I feel good. Great to be here with you on YouTube. I mean, what 50-year-old cuts videos on YouTube for your viewing pleasure and listening pleasure? So we have an interesting topic to get into. We, in our last video, talked about the hullabaloo of USA England. It's going to be an epic game. It's going to be a record-breaking game in many, many ways. Again, the U.S. is going to be a large underdog. And I was wondering if it's the most important game for the U.S. at the World Cup. And I'm pretty comfortable in saying that the most important game is going to be the first game. The first game where we don't know who the United States are going to be playing. If Scotland, Wales, Ukraine beats the United States in that first game, the World Cup is probably over, because if you lose against England, and you're going to be expected to lose against England, and I'm not saying the U.S. will, but it'll be a huge result if they can pull it off. You lose that first game and you lose the second game, it's over, right? So that first game is key. You can't lose it. You got to get some points, and you hopefully get a victory, which could put you in a great shape to advance in this group. Remember, you're going to get help from the English. You have to think that England is going to win the other two games. This is a top 5 team in the world. They're excellent, and leverage England to your favor. Focus on those other two, because Iran and Wales, Scotland, Ukraine, I feel like it's one country right now, will be massive underdogs against the English as well, because as we said in the last video, the English have been a juggernaut in international competition, not just advancing, but beating teams up. We've all seen it. They're very good. So today on the Soccer OG, check out the Soccer OG podcast, where I'm joined by Warren Barton, and we break down the USA England phenomenon. So you'll get to hear more of it there, but I'm going to shift a little bit here on the Soccer OG on YouTube, which you can like the video here. I think we've got a really good reception from the last video and a lot more subscribers, so that's great for me, and I think it's great for you. So let's look at it, because it's really interesting, because we don't know who we're going to play. The Welsh, we'll start with them because they already have one game down, and they await the winner of Scotland and Ukraine, which is going to be played June the 7th in Hampden Park. And that obviously has been pushed back because of what's happening in Ukraine, which you have to take into consideration here when you look at what could happen. It's going to be a tall order for the Ukrainian team when you hear about what's happening. I'll get to them momentarily. I'm going to start with the Welsh because I think they are the best bet to make it there, because, again, they're halfway home. They're also the highest-ranked team of the three. Wales is ranked, we're using the FIFA rankings. They're pretty accurate, and it's based on wins. It's based on wins in important games like World Cup qualifying. So Wales is 18. Ukraine is 27. Scotland's 38. All three played in the Euros, so they had that, which would give it a better look at what these teams look like. By the way, Iran, we're going to talk about them here because that's going to be a tough, very tough order for the U.S. They are ranked 21st right now in the FIFA rankings. They finished ahead of South Korea in their group. They qualified easily, and they played some attractive football. Now, granted, against Syria and Lebanon, but they played some attractive football and scored some goals. But this is a good team. Also keep in mind that Iran is a short boat ride across the Persian Gulf, a short boat ride from Qatar. Probably, less than an hour flight from Tehran to Doha. And I don't know how many Iranians are going there, and that's another political situation that Lines are going to be blurred here when we talk about sports. But you don't want to leave out Iran, especially it's going to be so charged up as we saw it was in 1998. It's going to be USA and Iran, all right? So focus on that first game. The first game will open up the whole competition for you. Wales. Starts with Gareth Bale, obviously. 2 goals versus Austria in that qualifier. He was fantastic. Wales has qualified for the last 2 Euros. They made a semifinal. They made the round of 16. So this is a team that, you know, the Wales is known for rugby, right? They're great at rugby. You don't grow up to become a soccer player in Wales. You play rugby. So this has been an incredible achievement that they have just energized the soccer program and the football program. So they're looking to make a World Cup. And this is a really good shot for them. Playing a 4-4-2. They don't like to possess the ball. And the same can be said for the Scots. In the game against Belgium, they played with a back 5. I'm reading my notes here. There was a game there and 24% possession. So they're like, nope. Got throttled by Denmark in the round of 16 in the Euros. They had a back 4 then. They played Italy in that competition, 30% possession. They don't touch the ball. And just to talk about England, the fun part about that, and we said it about, and I'm just going to repeat it, England's going to want to play, and that could open up the bloodstream for the U.S. because they're going to get pressed, and there's going to be opportunities to play as opposed to break down a team, which is what the U.S. are going to face for Wales, and they're going to face for Scotland and possibly Iran. And I don't think Ukraine. So the Welsh have more and more players in the Premier League. It's not just Gareth Bale, who's at Real Madrid, not really playing. Daniel James up top has been good. Aaron Ramsey is a elite midfielder. Joe Allen still playing, still doing it. Ben Davis, Spurs. Joe Rodon, who also is with Spurs. This is a quality team. Don't have a lot of depth. Don't have a lot of scoring prowess outside of Bale. But there's enough there to worry you. And look, rank 18th in the world. This is a team that, when you think there's 32 teams in the World Cup, should comfortably be in the World Cup, but they have to qualify. Scotland. Oh, the flower of Scotland, when will we see? I'd love to hear the flower of Scotland in a World Cup again. That would be fantastic. Beat Denmark recently. Let the Danes play, and they caught them. They won their last 6 qualifiers. This is another team on the... A few years ago, you look at the Scottish talent, it was bare. Not a lot to get excited about. Steve Clarke's done a wonderful job with that team, and much like Wales, but a little bit more, these players are now excelling, particularly in the English Premier League. Che Adams, really good scorer. Andy Robertson, top 5 fullback in the world. Billy Gilmore, lots of potential, haven't seen it. Liam Cooper at Leeds, a guy I like. Plays every day for those guys. Kieran Tierney, Arsenal. McTominay at Manchester United. They will have Ukraine at home, so they should advance based on the talent they have and the situation with Ukraine, which is going to certainly complicate things for their passage. There's talk about UEFA or FIFA kind of... It's strangely enough, Scotland's got a friendly against Ukraine. They want to collapse those games together so that becomes the qualifier, and then they don't have to play twice. But there's a $ attached to that. And I heard it was you could lose £2 million in tickets sold because of that game to Ukraine if you collapse one into the other. The World Cup qualifier is going to be a massive moment there in Glasgow. And it's going to be a very hot ticket, obviously. So that's going to complicate it. And you don't want to be too insensitive and say, hey, we need our money when you're playing Ukraine. Or maybe you say, hey, we'll give the money to Ukraine. It's tricky. So I don't know what's going to happen. But that's the latest reports that could possibly be the case. This is so interesting for me when I look at, it's like a little mini World Cup to see who plays the U.S. if you want to look at that. And I get a lot of satisfaction when I talk about it. It is a Scottish team that has plenty of talent, and we saw them get a point against England in the Euros, so they can raise their game, and they should be in a good shape. By the way, I don't know when the Wales game against Scotland or Ukraine is going to be played, but somewhere down the pike, I would imagine. So it's complicated issues because remember, this game should have been played already, but who knew that we were going to have this invasion of Ukraine by the Russians, who I don't know that they're going on. Remember, Poland got a ticket through, and now they are in the World Cup. So it's tricky here with these loose ends, but fascinating without question. The USA, by the way, and when we look at how they would prepare for a team like Scotland or Wales, and I'm not saying all British teams are the same, but they played some British teams, beat Northern Ireland, and they tied Wales, outpossessed both teams. Should have won both, I thought. The Wales game, I think, was back in November, and now it's turned out to be a wonderful wonderful footage for Greg Berhalter to kind of look at in preparation if it is in fact the Welsh. The U.S., they're going to be filling out their schedule. They have some Nation Leagues game. We don't expect the first team players to go. These games are from Uruguay coming up. But you know they'd love to get a British team somewhere. Not just because they have England, but they could have England-Wales, England-Scotland. So the U.S. also played and lost to the Swiss in a game that they were clearly second best in. So when you look at the standard of the Europeans, I just think the U.S. has to find a way to get through this group. That is why I'm really leveraging this first game, because this is a place where they can get it. I expect them to. I think the U.S. will win the opening game. Let's talk about Ukraine. Ukraine finished second in Group D, behind the French. Ukraine in 8 qualifiers. It was a pretty easy group. Finland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kazakhstan. 5 teams. 2 wins, 6 draws. 11 goals for, 8 against. Ukraine, like the other 2, were in the Euros. They made the round of 16. They won a round of 16 game, beating Sweden and then getting demolished by the English 4-0. They got some good results in the qualifying. They tied the French. And they got some good players that you would know about outside of Ukraine. One of my favorite players, Ruslan Malinovsky, who plays at Atalanta, great free kick, etc. Roman Yaremchuk plays at Benfica. And my guy at West Ham, Andriy Yarmolenko. He's also a really talented guy. Now, the problem for Ukraine, Alexander Zinchenko at Manchester City. They do possess the ball. They can go at it for here. But the big issues there is the war, obviously. Alexander Petrakov, who, one of the great achievements of Ukrainian football was they won the Under-20 World Cup, and he was the coach. They won it. So they're building some good players there. They have momentum, qualifying for the Euros, qualifying for World Cups. But Alexander Petrakov tried to sign up with the Defense Forces there. He's 64. He didn't get put through. But listen, if you're a football player in Ukraine, your life is changed distinctively. You have to, between ages 18 and 60, you are going to be enlisted in some way to help the war effort. And that's what Petrakov has wanted to do, and he's a real patriot in the way he looks at this. He knows he wants to use football as a way to help his country. Incredible man. I was just reading about him as I prepared to do this video. I go, this is an incredible dude. He was asked to leave Kiev, pardon me for the pronunciation, it's all in my head how to move west, and he refused. He said, this is my home, I'm staying here. He is going to be vigilant till the end. It's unbelievable. I mean, you can only but respect something like that. So Ukraine had all this momentum, but now it's going to be stopped. Ukraine decided that this game got moved because the impossibility of organizing both the travel and training of a team under these circumstances. You can't blame them on that. In their last World Cup qualifier, 23-man roster, 15 of those players play in Ukraine, and we don't know what's going on with the sport there. Obviously, if you're a man between 18 and 60, you're not playing football. You've got to be part of the defense effort, and you're not playing football anyway while this is going on. And we don't know how long it's going on. I pray that it ends soon, but it's going to go on. And until that's resolved, I mean, it could go past June, and Ukraine may not be able to play. Petrakov has even said that he needs 5 or 6 games to get his team ready. He wants to get them ready in England. I don't see it happening. So I don't see Ukraine getting by the Scots. I see Scotland playing Wales, and I see Wales getting into that group. But you can't underestimate the Ukrainians, and when they're fighting for something bigger than them, that makes them a very dangerous team. But I'm telling you, man, We've never had it. We've always had a World Cup where we've known all the teams. And now you have so many loose ends, including this one, and you have to look at these three teams. And it's really fascinating to see what lies ahead. And it affects the U.S. because it's not only a team that they're going to play in the World Cup, it's the first team they're going to play. And as I said at the beginning, their most important game. You win this game, game changer. Tie this game, you're all right. You lose this game, last rites, I'm telling you. Win this game, whoever it is. I'm saying it's going to be the Welsh. I don't think I'm saying anything too bombastic there. I think I made a good point why they have a leg up on these other two teams. But enjoy it. We have games that affect the World Cup before the World Cup. We'll be here on the Soccer OG bringing you all the stories that we find interesting, and I think you will as well. To get you ready, we'll talk about much more other topics. Obviously, the Gio Reyna news was a punch in the gut for all of us, and his season's over with Dortmund. We hold our breath and hope he can get his body right. But we'll talk about it on another day. You know what to do. Like and subscribe. Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast, where all podcasts are available.